Well, we're here at the Court of Session in Edinburgh, and we're here to formally launch our legal action against the Scottish Government's controversial named person scheme. And we're joined here by several of the co-petitioners in the legal action, including several parents.
We had two letters from NHS Forth Valley Trust for two of our children with different appointments. On the bottom of the first letter there was a stipulation that the medical records would be sent to our named person. We were bemused by that. We looked into it. A couple of weeks later we had another letter for another child, 4 children, and at the bottom of that letter somewhat sinister intimation that if we missed an appointment with the medical professional, then our named person would be told about that. We then looked into a little bit more about what is this named person legislation, and we found out about that. We then became not only bemused but really quite deeply concerned at the state intervention into our family life, and indeed the right that we have, as we understand it, under the European Convention of Human Rights, to privacy in our family life, and also to bring our children up according to our religious beliefs.
This issue is really important to me because my school and my son were involved in a survey which I feel was linked to the named person legislation. I think it will have a big impact for more families than think it will at the moment. I think a lot of families think it's only to do with people who are very vulnerable, but I believe that it will be an insidious thing that will creep into looking at data on every family.
Well, we believe that this to be an oppressive, unwarranted and illegal intrusion into family life, and that it challenges the authority of parents in the care and upbringing of their own children. And we feel that with the data sharing that goes on, where health records, confidential records are shared without the consent of parents with the named person, that this could lead to decisions being based on wrong information. We often have to advise parents on correcting and challenging misinformation from these professionals, and if they are not given the chance to challenge misinformation, decisions will be made regarding the children that could have disastrous results.
We're extremely concerned because home educators are always first in the firing line when it comes to government initiatives. We're very concerned that the threshold for intervention has been lowered from the child protection threshold of risk of significant harm to every child being at risk of not meeting a state-dictated well-being outcome.
I don't think that having a named person for every child in Scotland is a good idea. I think the desire perhaps is laudable from a child protection perspective to make sure that those who are most vulnerable are able to access help and know who to go to. And yet the vast majority of mums and dads, of carers, of parents are perfectly able to love their children and bring up their children and look after their children far better, knowing their children at a much deeper level, much more, and loving their children far more intimately than any named person, any state-appointed guardian.
I personally think that with the resources the way they are economically across the UK at the moment, that it's going to stretch resources for the more vulnerable, and that the money that's going to be spent on universality of collecting data on everybody is actually going to minimise the impact on the people who really need it.
Well, we hope the Court of Session, when it comes to consider the case, would agree with us that the named person scheme is a breach of European rules relating to a private and family life, and therefore outside the powers of the Scottish Parliament.
We hope the court will look very carefully at the arguments, realise that universality is the wrong way to go, throw out the named person scheme and the data mining and sharing.
We would hope that the judicial review would result in the named person being taken away completely, that it just no longer existed.